Hello, my name's Dr. Amelia, and I am a cosmetic dentist based in Sydney, Australia. I am reacting to Swell Entertainment's breaking my silence about Smile Direct Club. I like Swell Entertainment's videos. I feel like she's very honest and upfront, and I appreciate that. And it's a very topical topic. Words, wow. It's pretty messed up, to be honest. I see a lot of Invisalign, a lot of orthodontic cases. I treat a lot of them myself. And this whole Smile Direct Club thing is pretty it's not pretty, it's very messed up. Yeah, so I am gonna react to her experience and give you some of my comments and spill the tea, basically, because it's really messed up an experience and put people in a very bad position that have been seeking this option because they didn't have any other options.
Just my luck that a company that I'd planned on making a video on but didn't make a video on goes out of business. Hi, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about Smile Direct Club, or 2021. It was supposed to come out in 2022. I placed an order for Smile Direct Club, and funny enough, I actually turned down a sponsorship for Bite, okay, which was a different Invisalign type company. Okay, I don't know if they're still in operation. I turned them down because they wanted 2 full videos, which I don't do dedicated videos for brand deals, so that was never going to happen. And 2, I was already working on this video and I figured I could at least get 1 video out of it.
I like the fact that she purchased it herself because obviously, well, what am I saying? No, I don't like the fact that she purchased it herself because it's not a good product, but I appreciate the authenticity in the sense that she was like, no, I am going to see what I actually genuinely feel about this rather than being paid to do it. But it's the same principle, and this is the thing with these kinds of health startups. They have money behind them, like cash dollar, because people are just pumping cash into it. Health is a massive sector. Cosmetics is a massive sector. And the appetite for orthodontics post the COVID world, it's just skyrocketed. And I think it's almost when Gucci was really, really popular back 2016, 2017, and every woman, man, dog had something from Gucci, whether it was this status thing. And I think it's almost a little bit like that now. It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing Invisalign, amazing. I'm gonna just fiddle with my little ball. Yeah, it's just such a ubiquitous thing now within the workplace. It's almost like when you're in primary school where if you're the kid without the braces, you're the odd one out. That was me.
But Smile Direct Club was literally you basically buy an at-home kit to try and fix your smile. I know what you're thinking, Amanda, you have a great smile. That's not just me.
It does have really nice shaped teeth. I like them.
Being shitty. I've done braces. I've had braces before. I had braces for about a year when I was a junior in high school. Got them off right before senior pictures. And I wore my bands religiously and I adjusted my teeth. I probably could have had them on longer, but I wanted them off. And then I also had a retainer and a permanent retainer on the bottom of my teeth, which I did end up getting taken off. Once I moved to LA, I went back to my orthodontist and I was like, it broke again. It's cutting my tongue. Take it out. And he was like, but you're supposed to leave it in. Your teeth are going to shift. I was like, I don't care. Get it out. I talk too much for this to be in my mouth constantly. So I got to take it out. Side note, if you want to get it taken out, you can demand it be taken out. It's your mouth. It's your body. Take it out if you want it. So
you can, but you also need to understand that things are going to move and all of the work that you've done is going to shift. It's not a case of oh, maybe it will. It will 100% move because as you age, your bone changes and teeth will move. It's called mesial drift. Some people think, oh, I've got wisdom teeth. That must be the cause. With or without wisdom teeth, you still have the problem. And I get what she's saying because I have seen the occasional person who's like, I just can't make it work. But if you're going to take it out, you have to wear plastic retainers every single night for the rest of your life at this stage. That will change. I know there are some softwares and technologies coming out and some different subscription models to help not have to do that as much. But at the moment, that is the gold standard. And you're spending thousands of dollars, and especially you've been through childhood orthodontics. Your parents have paid thousands of dollars, and then you're paying thousands of dollars. I don't want those little teeth to move. We are locking this shit down. It's not going to go anywhere. And it is something that you just have to accept. If you're going to take them out, it is what it is. And it's not a case of, oh, maybe it will happen. I'm telling you, it is going to happen. It's one thing for the front to shift as well, but particularly with something like clear aligners, whether it be Invisalign, Spark, Clear Correct, there's a couple of different ones on the market. They're really good at creating a nice broad smile through expansion of like the premolars and the back molars. So like the back section of your teeth, they're called the posteriors. Yes, you can have a wire on the front 6 teeth, but what's stopping these areas down the back from buckling in? So I think retention is something that yes, you can have it taken off, but you got to understand the risks. I will stop harping on about retention because retention is my religion.
I was like, okay, you know, Smile Direct Club and all that, they did a couple of brand deals. They were advertised a lot. A couple of you guys requested it, so I ordered from them. Now, it's a big commitment. Part of the reason that I wanted to do Smile Direct Club is that these 2 teeth, my eye teeth, my canines right up here, I believe, we call them my fangs. If it weren't for these 2 little shits right here, probably not. These teeth grew in super high up here, and I looked like I had fangs. Most of my other teeth grew in normally, in spite of all of that. They were a little crowded, but that's just because I have big teeth and big gums and tiny white girl lips.
I love how now I'm breaking down her orthodontics, but being able to influence growth when she was younger has definitely set her up to be in a much better position, because if they hadn't done that and they left it as is, there's a fair chance she would have ended up being, well, she would have been a very complex adult case. Obviously, I haven't seen the jaw relationship. I haven't seen the side profile of her as a child, but you get to a point as an adult where the only option you have is surgery. And we're talking like Bimax surgery, where you're sectioning the top jaw, bottom jaw, moving things around. It gives great results, but it is not reasonably, it is quite intensive. This is the thing that kills me with this sort of treatment. You will not get a midline shift. And they sell you on, oh, we can do this, we can do that. Yes, you can do some movements, but to move your center of your teeth across, it's not going to happen if you don't have attachments, which are the tooth-colored bumps, and you need to have like shaping and like polishing of a certain side. Sometimes we'll actually sequentially push each tooth backwards on one side to then create space to shift it across. Sometimes you have to do it prosthetically as well. But people go into these sorts of treatments thinking that I've got this problem, this will solve it. But the reality is you'll get through your aligners and you're not going to get to a point that you're happy with this. From a biomechanical and physical perspective, it's just not doable. I think it's really disingenuous for them to be like selling people this dream of like, yeah, you can have these amazing teeth. Yeah, maybe they're going to be like some level of percentage better, but you're spending still like a couple of $1,000s to get a mediocre result. And not a safe result either.
Partially financed my new total payment amount, $2,134. I did it for you.
That's a lot of money. I get with these sorts of startups that there's a market for it, definitely, because a lot of people, especially when you're in your early 20s, maybe your parents couldn't afford to do orthodontics for you. They want nice teeth. It's such a big thing now on social media, just life in general. And that's something that they think, oh yeah, if I break it up and finance it, it's something that I can stomach. There's this bracket of people who don't necessarily have the means to be able to afford full out orthodontic treatment. And so they recognized this and said, we know that they have this level of expendable income, so therefore this price point is something that is palatable to them. There's this part of the market that they can really focus in on. I feel like this is a bit like the whole having a lower income is more expensive, in the sense that they say you have to finance your phone, or you can't just buy it outright. So you end up spending maybe $3,000 on a phone that should have been $1,200 over the period of the 24 months that you have it. In a way, especially with the way that this is all panned out, these people don't have cash to burn. And now they're in this position where this has gone tits up and they've spent like over $2,000. They're in this position where they are left on their own. And they now, if they want to continue, they're going to have to go and seek out treatment from a professional. And if not, like, they've literally just wasted $2,000 and they have no post-care. They've been promised a lifetime warranty and now they're literally up a creek with no paddle. And it's like, well, shit, like, you're just screwing over people who they're desperate. Like, they just want a nice smile, and it's sad.
And then the video never came out. Okay, but basically, that was August of 2021 that I paid that, okay? Or I started financing that. I paid a good chunk of it down, but I did finance it because that was when money was a little all over the place that year. Okay, money was weird. It was my first year living in my own place. Okay, I was a little worried. And I think trying to do some of the teeth impressions, it's just as awful at home as it is at the orthodontist, by the way. These at-home kits where you do the molds yourself, they suck. It does feel like you're gonna throw up. I don't recommend it.
This is the other wild thing. Dentists sometimes struggle taking good, solid impressions like that. Alginates, PVS, which are some of the materials that we use. If a fully qualified dentist will have to retake some impressions multiple times and still has to take more afterwards because something warps or shifts or moves, or there's a drag in the impression material, what hope does the average consumer have at home? Like, it's blows my mind. And then from that, you're working off that to move teeth through bone, vital structures of a very average impression. That scares the bejesus out of me.
Smile, so I'm supposed to download the app and do the quick start guide and get that all figured out. Just check your fit, nice and snug, good. Show off your smile, future web superstar.
Basically, it's a big box. You pull out one strip, and it's got all the stuff with it, including your box for later. So like everything that you're going to need comes in the one box, which is nice. There's a lot of issues about Smile Direct Club we're gonna talk about with them failing, okay? But as far as like getting everything in one go, it's pretty great versus some companies that I have heard of where they don't give you all of the trays, the actual Invisaligns in one go. You get them after a certain point.
The reality with any aligner system, the statistics are that over 90% of cases will need at least one refinement. And what that means is you do, hypothetically, your first 25 trays. Everybody is different in the way that their teeth will translate and your body will react. So for that reason, you'll get to this point where you'll need to have like a new scan or impression taken. And then you'll have that sent off to the manufacturer and they'll send you, like, hypothetically, let's say 5 to 7 trays. If you just get sent the whole thing in one go, like you could get to week 7 and you could fall off the train and nothing fits and then you're kind of stuffed. Or you'll get to the end and the teeth haven't translated, but they're like, here's your retainer, off you go. And it's like, well, I need refinement. Like, I need more movement. And I don't know what their policy around that was, but the reality is that's how the body works. So I don't know. I can understand why, if they were sending them out in batches from a manufacturer perspective, plastic aligners are not ideal for the environment. And there are millions of these little things in the world. That's not good for trash. And you can't recycle them because they're medical waste. Given that's the fact, a lot of the time nowadays, the different products will break it down so that you might get your first 12 trays, even though I've approved the prescription for the patient and there might be 40 trays. They will send out batches of 12 each time once the specific amount of time has passed, so that if you find after you're 30% of the way into the treatment, things aren't tracking as well as they should, you can rescan and send off for a refinement. And then you don't have like another 30 trays that you cannot use anymore and you just end up throwing out. I think logistically it's difficult. I get from like a company perspective, it's easier to just be like, here you go, off you go, done. But it just doesn't physically work out that way. That's another thing as well. I can't remember whether it was Smile Direct or another one of the companies that I was looking at, but they were saying, oh, you can wear it 12 hours a day, everything will move, everything will be great. Again, that's not biomechanically how this stuff works. You have to wear it minimum 20 hours a day from what the research says, because it's not like hard force, it's gentle and consistent force to activate the cells in the body that build bone and take away bone so that you can have movement through the tissues. And around the tooth you have like little fibers, so they're like bungee cords and you need to allow them to stretch and things to do what they need to do. So I think it's very unrealistic to say to someone, oh yeah, if you wear this for 12 hours a day, in 6 months time your smile is going to be amazing. No, that's not how it works.
Trays the actual Invisaligns in one go. You get them after a certain point.
Okay, I've been very bad about wearing the week 2 ones Because at the end of the day, I talk for a living. And so the fact that I can take these out, I do take them out to film and talk on the phone and do acting classes. And when I have to go meet someone for a meal or I talk to someone, I take them out and I forget. And so
it's interesting in this video, she's lisping a lot, like a lot more than I would expect for someone who's been wearing these like aligners for 3 weeks. You lisp for like first little while, but there are also different thicknesses of aligners. And I know some systems have 2 different versions where you can go like a lighter one or a more forceful one. I feel like even just looking at them, I've never touched the Smile Direct aligners, but I feel like that looks really thick and not really that comfortable.
The club has made the incredibly difficult decision to wind down its global operations effective immediately. For new customers interested in Smile Direct services, thank you for your interest, but aligner treatment is no longer available through our telehealth platform. For existing customers, we apologize for the inconvenience, but customer care support is no longer available. Thank you for your support and letting us improve over 2 million smiles and lives. I placed an order for Smile Direct Club aligners, but have not received yet my aligners. What should I do? Unfortunately, aligner treatment is no longer available through the Smile Direct Club.
That is so dangerous and messed up. You don't have a dentist anymore overseeing, and also the verbiage around dentist/orthodontist is very nebulous here, which is interesting. You no longer have a health professional actually being able to check in if you have any questions or if something happens, like if a crown comes off. There's complications that can occur with orthodontic treatment. It's not like a cakewalk, you know?
For Smile Direct Club aligners, but have not received yet my aligners. What should I do? Unfortunately, aligner treatment is no longer available through the Smile Direct Club platform. Funny enough, I did finish paying off everything at the last possible second because it was just on a credit card, so it was an auto pay. Is the lifetime guarantee still in place? No. Effective immediately, the lifetime smile guarantee no longer exists.
So messed up. There are no guarantees in this life, as they say.
It's just funny. It's not funny, but it is funny, okay? I'm fine. I'm worried about people who, like, they truly thought that this was their affordable way to getting their teeth straightened out. That's who I'm.
And that's what I also am really like sad and worried about too. And it makes me angry, honestly. It just makes me really angry that you're taking people's insecurities and something that they really want to improve and something that psychosocially, like, it makes a big impact on how people perceive you. You're seeing it as a way to make money and then you just leave them kicked to the curb afterwards. It's like, oh, well, sorry about that. I'm just gonna piss off now. It's like, I think in principle, it's really nice to be able to bring affordable healthcare to people, but I feel in a lot of ways it's very opportunistic. I don't know how it's going to work in Australia, but the fact that people are expected to pay this off and receive nothing for it, I can't believe it's happening, honestly. And then the financing companies obviously want their money, and like it could impact credit scores, like all kinds of things. It's just stressful. And already naturally dental treatment it's a confronting thing for a lot of people. And now this has happened. Like, it sucks.
Still have their Amazon store, you motherfuckers. So some items are still available, some things.
I mean, you said it, but I think we were all thinking it.
But Smile Direct Club has been accused of some unfair practices, including in a lawsuit alleging the company made unsatisfied patients sign NDAs, according to different media reports. Never do that shit, by the way. Shortly after it's been—
That's messed up. But I know it happens. And this is the thing with reviews and social media nowadays. I know in Australia there's some very strict rules around how you can actually portray yourself. And you can't, for example, there's very specific ways you can do before and afters. You cannot do testimonials from patients. You cannot. And there's big fines and you get into a lot of trouble if you play with that dragon. With that said, though, I still see a lot of shit happening on social media that really shouldn't be. And still, I'm sure like the fist of the board comes down eventually. But I think there's been a lot of unfair practices here. A little bit unscrupulous.
Bankruptcy filing, and before it shut down, the company was still running discounts on upfront payments. Axios reported, encouraging more patients to make full payments rather than monthly installments. Oh, so that's what it was.
The fact that they could damage people's credit score, like impact them for years ahead, and they get nothing out of it is quite frankly disgusting. It is just terrible. Terrible. And what are they going to do? It's so stressful. But I really, really hope that dentists accept people with a lot of understanding and open arms, because I feel like sometimes there can be a bit of prejudice when somebody comes in for a checkup and clean and says, oh yeah, I'm doing Smile Direct Club or whatever aligner system it is. And I think people can get their nose out of joint a bit because they're like, oh, it's like not a good treatment option, blah, 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 blah. And like, there's definitely the education piece, but I really hope that professionals can approach it with a lot of kindness and understanding, because at the end of the day, all they want is a nice smile, and they're already in a world of hurt. It's traumatizing. It really is. And it has the ability to really impact people long term. I hope that the dental industry can come to patients who are seeking out help with compassion and understanding, and try to give them some options that they can go forwards with.
So the first thing you should do is go to an actual dentist at the very least, if you even just started your treatment or anything like that, just to get your stuff at least looked at, okay? But especially if you haven't fully gotten all of your aligners or your retainers, to be like, what can I do now? Because I'm being screwed dentally, okay? Let's go with that.
The thing that concerns me with this sort of treatment style as well is whenever I'm doing any kind of orthodontic treatment, before we start, we take a 3D scan so we can look through the bone, check for any infections, any issues, especially if you've had root canals and that sort of thing, or a big filling done in certain areas. A nerve can be dead and you might not realize it. And it has like an actual cyst sitting down in the bone. It's like a little bubble of tissue. And it can sit there dormant for a lot of years, but I have seen cases where we've been aware of it, the patient knows about it, or I've sent them to a specialist endodontist and they've said, you know what, we'll monitor it and just see if it flares up, we do something about it. Otherwise, we'll deal with it after you finish your treatment. And it has blown up and it's caused a lot of pain, a lot of infection. It can become very expensive, and people are blindly walking into this. I don't think it's informed consent when you don't know what you don't know. And there can be termites in the foundations. If you had, for example, rampant gum disease and you've lost a lot of bone, if you start moving teeth around with aligners, you are going to lose those teeth. I would hate to think of some of the adverse outcomes that have happened for people, because there would have been some really bad cases that left people in a really bad way.
As far as money situation goes, if you paid in full, contact your bank at the very least, something, okay? If you were on the payment plan, at least file a claim, report something to the company that was handling the money, an email record with a timestamp. So we'll see when that ends up happening, but it could be a long time before we see people start to get their refunds for their payment plans and all of that. And unfortunately, I don't think that this is going to be the last direct-to-consumer company that we see crash and burn in the next year or two, honestly. In theory, the business model works. In longevity, we haven't seen it work, if that makes sense, for a lot of cases. So I guess that's just kind of a wait and see type of thing at this point. Anyways, that's going to be it.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think if you are looking at it as a non-dental professional, logistically, it makes sense. But from a dental perspective, there are a lot of issues attached to it. And technology will eventually get to a point where we can navigate it. I use AI monitoring all the time for my patients on their phone. I can track exactly how things are moving. I can even have more aligners made based on your scan. The workflow is you come in at the start of your treatment. I take the 3D scan, send it off for the prescription. Every week you take a scan on your phone. The phone can actually now gauge how much things have moved, and it can track them, and it can create STL files, which is what the digital scan is, from those scans, and I can send you a refinement without ever having to get you to come in. So I have patients interstate, internationally. I can just have it sent to them directly, and I don't need to see them. I can monitor them from afar, and I can guide them. But the technology is there. It's just, you have to make sure you're applying it in the correct way. It is crazy, the fact that your $1,000 iPhone can now be an extension of like $100,000 intraoral scanner. Wild stuff. I think sometimes when you have startups like this, venture capitalists would look at it and they'd be like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Oh, that's really exciting. And it sounds exciting on paper. People get really passionate about it. But when it comes to people's health, you have to cross your T's and dot your I's. And I don't know if people will get refunds or not. I would, on the balance of probability, be inclined to say it's unlikely. I don't know. It depends on like how the bankruptcy works, and it depends on so many different factors that I am not educated to talk about. But from a dental perspective, I would say if you are currently in Smile Direct Club, stop the treatment. Do not wear the aligners. Go and see a dental professional. Explain to them what's happened. You can either leave it as it is if you don't want to continue on with treatment, or you can't afford to continue on with treatment, and have some holding retainers made. So at least you can lock it in, wear it at nighttime, keep things in a similar place, and then therefore you're not going to have relapse over time. You're not going to have mesial drift or changes and shifting of the teeth over time. Or alternatively, you can look at going through treatment options. Technically, there's 3 options. The second option is leave it as is. The third option is continue treatment, knowing it's going to be an investment, financially speaking and timeline speaking, but you will get to an outcome that is safe and functional and aesthetic. You can look at doing payment plans that do split up payments over time. I think it does make it manageable. It is not a cheap exercise. I think the going prices on average in Australian dollars at the moment is somewhere between like $6,000 to $10,000. But there are a lot of people who offer in-house financing that is interest-free. There's also medical financing companies out there. In an ideal world, it would be great if you could just drop a bag on your teeth. As Cardi B said, got a bag and fix my teeth. Hope you hoes know it ain't cheap. And I can tell you it is not, especially if you want quality work done. But I think as well, often people think, oh, if I get braces done, it will be cheaper. Most of the time it's about the same price, unfortunately. I don't know how it works in the American health system, but I know in the Australian health system, if you are somebody who can't afford to go to a private dentist and you have been through this treatment and you're concerned, there are public services out there as well. Granted, there is a wait time associated, but if you're in pain as a result or you're concerned, that is always an option as well that's more affordable too. But yeah, all I can say is that it makes me really sad that this has happened. I think when it comes to healthcare, you have to take everything with a grain of sand. You have to do your research, even when you're approaching dentists to treat you. If you're not sure, get a second opinion. There's nothing wrong with that because it's your body and it's your health and we only get one. And it is really hard when you get into circumstances where things become irreversible because it can happen. So stay safe, look after yourself, and floss your damn teeth.